the Spirit cry out your name. Come just as you are. Come and see. Come and see. This is your time. Come receive. Come and live. Come and live forever.
Come on up, Beth. It's your turn. Beth's been here, gave her testimony. I'm sure everybody here, most people in here have heard it. What a wild and wicked person she was for quite some time. But boy, look what God's done in her life. It's actually, you got a microphone? You got a microphone. God's done an awesome work in her, and she just does all kinds of stuff and helps people. And she's on that Facebook putting positive stuff on there all the time. She'll just wear you out being so positive, I'll tell you that. I see people, sometimes people get tired of it. And I'm like, well, now why would you get tired of something like that? That's just good stuff. But she's on there constantly putting great stuff out there. That's the cool thing about Facebook. It's what you make of it. And you can put your whiny bag stuff on there, or you can put what God's doing in your life, what you believe He's doing. And she does that and ministers and use it as a ministering platform. And we're ready to hear her minister now. Thanks, Beth.
Are we on? Okay. Well, I am really grateful to be here again. I hopefully won't take as long as I did last time, and hopefully I've improved a little, and I'll make some eye contact instead of going like this the whole time. I've spoken a couple times since then, but it's just really, really good to be here. And, of course, thank you, Darren, for inviting me. About 10 years ago, I read a book called The Prayer of Jabez, and I put it in a shelf, and it went to a box, and it went to storage, and it came back out. And so I read it again, and I've been praying that prayer. And it's just 4 little lines, and I've kind of made my own little version, but it's bless me indeed, expand my territory, keep harm from me, and give me what I need to make it. And a lot of things have happened since I've been praying that. He has expanded my territory, not in ways I thought it would expand. Luckily, my hips didn't move, so we're still okay with that. But He puts people in your life to help you do His will, and I really believe that Darren and Patricia are put in my life for part of my will to be taken care of. Darren has allowed me to share my testimony, and he's done things that other people have not given me the chance to do, so thank you, Darren. I am constantly being asked what makes me so happy and positive and joyful, and on Facebook people get annoyed sometimes, and I just count that one off as to Satan's. It's working on them. And you know, I haven't always been this way. There was, I think my mom could testify, there was probably a few years joy was the last thing in my life. But you know what? I have every reason in the world to be happy, even when my contacts don't work. When life happens, you know what? Today I have a reason to be joyful. Yes, I mean, I have 3 years clean of drugs. I was a meth user, shooting dope in my neck. You know, I did it myself. I didn't trust anybody else to do that. You know, did not have a good life. I was going straight to hell. And I thought I was having fun doing it. I thought I was happy. And tonight we're going to talk about the difference between joy and happiness. We're talking about where joy comes from, where it's found, who has it, how do you get it, how do you keep it. Because like Andrew said, it can be put aside. You can let little things get in the way, and before you know it, somebody's taking your joy. I don't let people take my joy today. They can try, and it just makes me stronger with God, makes me closer with God. In the midst of storms, I have joy. And I had a therapist tell me about 1.5 years ago, I was going to outside counseling after I got out of rehab, and she said something about the storms in my life. I said, I haven't had any storms. She said, yes, you've had a lot of storms. I don't know when a storm hits me today, because I have joy in my life. I have God. Okay, when those storms happen, I don't feel it. God's driving the ship. I'm not in the front seat anymore. Okay, I'm in the back asleep, taking a nap. You got this, God. You know, and my daughter, my youngest one, has a therapist that comes out once a week, and she's always telling me she's supposed to come out and do therapy for us. I end up preaching to her, and almost every visit she ends up crying. She just, she wants to know what I have. And other people ask me, what makes you so happy, I don't have anything that you can't have. I don't have anything Andrea doesn't have. It's called joy in his relationship with God. It's who God is in my life and who I let him be in my life. Tonight I'm going to tell you the secret to a great smile. It doesn't cost you any money. You don't got to go anywhere to have it done. It's pain-free. It's in the comfort of your own home, and that's where it should be. It's a relationship with you and God. You start there, curl up with the Bible, hit your knees and pray, and discover that joy in your life. There's a quiz I'm going to give y'all real quick. Is there some paper, Tricia? Okay, y'all, you got fingers right. Y'all are going to add just a little bit tonight if you don't have paper. Well, there's 10 questions, and one of them is 3 points, and one of them is 1 point. A yes is 3, and a no is 1. Y'all think y'all can figure that out? Well, I had like 40 of these made, and they're at home on my kitchen table. I was all prepared. I got everything else here, so that's good. I'll put them on Craigslist.
There you go.
Is that what I said? If it's yes, give yourself 3 points. If it's no, give yourself 1. Okay, everybody ready? Number 1, are you feeling confident and fulfilled in your workplace? Workplace can be home if you're a homemaker, or it can be a 9-to-5 job. But do you feel confident and very fulfilled in what you're doing? One's yes. No, yes, 1. Yes is 3, no is 1. So if you're very fulfilled in your workplace, put down 3 points. If not, put down 1. Okay, the second one. Do you feel as though God has a purpose for you and that you're living it out? If you think so, give yourself 3 points. If not, put 1. Well, that's a process of living it out. Give yourself 3 points. I'm in college. Get all the points. Number 3, do you feel you have a community of friends that support you? Do you have a good support system? Someone you can call when you want to go drink? Do you have somebody you can call and go, I want a drink, I want a beer, talk to me? You know what? This woman right here, we're in a club together that helps addicts. If I want to go use, I have a list of phone numbers I can call somebody and go, I want to use, and somebody's going to be there going, no, you don't, let me talk to you. That's what Darren was saying, we'll get you some phone numbers. So do you have friends you feel like you can call and support you right now? So put down 3 points. If not, put 1. Do you have 3 things that you are thankful for right now? And the next one, do you feel you have a healthy energy level? I don't know what y'all's ideal of healthy is. I have a 2-year-old, so mine's probably a little different than yours. Do you find you have enough time in your schedule to pursue at least one of your passions? Like we have more than one, but just one of your passions. Do you have enough time for one of your passions? Are you looking forward to the weekend? That was quick. Everybody's head went down real quick on that one. Have you had a hearty laugh in the past 2 weeks? A good belly laugh in the last 2 weeks. Do you feel that you have more opportunities in your life to get to do something than rather have to do something? And the last one, do you still remember why you're engaged in the activities that you're involved in? Why are you doing what you're doing? Do you remember why? And then add your points up. You're not going to say them out loud. That's not true, because you know what? I had all yeses. Okay, if you get 20 to 30 points, your joy is bubbling over on a regular basis. You are taking time for yourself to enjoy and appreciate where you are in life and where you're going. You have a knack for keeping your sense of humor, and you know when to let things go. You have a sense of what's truly important, and you embrace God's grace with every step forward. 10 to 19 points. You have room for more joy in your life. Though you know how to celebrate and find delight in the goodness of God, at times you find the busyness of life getting the better of you. Don't worry, you can still make time to get away and be refreshed. Though it may not always feel like it, sometimes when we choose to do less, God can do so much more through us. So, now you know where you stand on joys. If you have a 30, you can leave now. I have nothing to say to you. The word joy is used 244 times in the Bible, New and Old Testament, Ben. And we are going to see what the dictionary says about joy. Webster says joy, the emotion of great delight or happiness caused by something exceptionally good or satisfying. Keen pleasure, delight, something greatly valued or appreciated. The expression of display of a glad feeling, festive gaiety, a state of happiness, or felicity, which means bliss. And then this is what Webster said about happiness. Happiness is delighted, pleased, or glad over a particular thing, favored by fortune, fortunate, or lucky. And those are pretty close, okay? And often we interchange joy for happiness. Joy is found in the Lord, okay? Happiness is found in things around you, your happenings, what is going on that makes you happy. I'm going to hopefully share with you how you can have that joy when things around you are not so happy, okay? And the dictionary, when it said happiness, it used the word luck, okay? Joy was used, it said, where was it? Something greatly valued or appreciated. And that just stuck out to me as what Jesus did on that cross. That's something I greatly value and appreciate. The joy. Happiness, yeah, okay, I'm lucky. Okay, that's good. But that's not always going to be around. Easy come, easy go. Like I said, there have been times in my life where I have felt very happy but had no joy. And let me tell you a little secret about Satan. Not everything Satan throws in our path is going to be bad, okay? Sometimes he likes to sidetrack us, not with bad things. Satan doesn't care who we worship as long as it's not God. We can worship a job, money, other people. Just make sure it's not God. That's what Satan wants. And so not everything he puts in front of us is going to be bad. It's like when you tell your kids about talking to strangers. We always say strangers are mean, ugly, scary people. I tell my kids, a stranger's going to be nice. They're going to have a puppy dog. They're going to have candy. They're going to want you to come to them. If you've never seen them in our house, don't talk to them, okay? Satan is pretty slick. Okay, he may put things to entice us. He got real slick with me when he put drugs in front of me. That enticed me. I tried it. I became an addict, So you have to be real careful about the things that are in our life that make us happy, but are they bringing us joy? Where do they come from? You know, I'm not saying that we don't deserve to have nice things. We work hard. Know where your things come from, okay? I think God blesses us with good jobs, with the health to work. He blesses us with nice houses, cars, you know, able to go on vacation. And that's okay because, you know what, as long as we know that those things came from God, okay? He provided the means for that to happen. When I was, you know, a few years ago when I was out doing drugs and I thought I was so happy, you know, I had a nice car. I stayed in a different hotel room every night. I had cash in my pocket. I bought my kids anything they wanted except time. My kids asked me constantly, Mom, can we please just have one day with you? Turn your cell phone off. Don't go anywhere. Don't meet anybody. They asked Santa Claus for that one day. Santa Claus, I just want a day with my mommy. Did they get it? No. I went out and bought them a bunch of expensive jewelry and purses instead, thinking that would satisfy them. But, you know, yes, I had a lot of things that I don't have today. You know what? But I have so much joy in my life. The material things don't make you happy, and none of those things I had came from God. Those were from Satan. Like I said, Satan will put things in your path that, you know, don't seem that bad, but you got to remember what's making you happy at the moment, and if it's from God, and if it's joy. I know my mom, when I was in my addiction and thought I was so happy, I was sitting on the front porch one day, my brand new Dodge Charger out in the driveway. I probably had like $8,000 to $10,000 in my purse at that time because the cops took it later that night. I think it was $8,000. I'd already spent a couple thousand, you know, and I had boys calling my cell phone. I thought I had everything in the world to make me happy. And my mom came outside, I was smoking a cigarette, and she said, Beth, are you happy? I said, yeah. I mean, look at this. There's a brand new car in the driveway, money in my pocket. Of course I'm happy. And she just said, okay. You know, well, why wouldn't I be happy? And then she asked me another question. She said, what would happen to you if you died today? I said, I'd go to hell. And I flicked my cigarette and walked in the house and left. That scares me standing here today. That scares me to death that I didn't care. Satan had taken every bit of joy from my life. He had hardened my heart where I didn't care. I was ready to go to hell. In fact, I attempted suicide, and I knew that if it worked, when I opened my eyes, I would be in hell, and I was looking forward to that. That's not joy. I thought I was happy, though. I just told her I was happy. That's not joy. You know, joy, it's an inside job. It's something that God works inside of you. Joy is when I had a little baby that has had 13 surgeries, was very, very sick. She actually flatlined 4 times. And I forgot why I was saying that. Well, see, I have notes, but I'm not using them. I know. I'm trying to. You know, I had this baby that was sick, and I remember, you know, sitting just in the hospital up many nights holding her. You know, I was not happy about that storm that was in my life. There was nothing happy about having a tiny baby that you're told is never going to speak again, never going to sing, maybe never breathe on her own. That was a huge storm. But you know what? I had joy every night. The nights I could hold her when she wasn't on life support, the nights I could sit there and just rub my fingers across her little cheek, I had joy because I knew who she belonged to. No matter what, she was God's. And I was God's at that point in my life. I had made a lot of changes. Joy is, it's on the inside, so when storms happen, you're going to make it because you have God. It's not you. I didn't do anything. And that's what I tell people when they ask me, well, what makes you so happy all the time? You know, I want what you have. Love God. That's what I say. I just love God more than anything, and I always will. But joy is also described as a longing. It's a longing to want to be with God. It's that longing that, yeah, things happen in life, but you know what? It's going to end one day. And I know that sounds funny, but, you know, my kids have heard me pray, God, hurry up and come. I'm ready. I love my life. My life is so full of joy right now. There's not anything going on that brings me down. But you know what? If he came right now, I wouldn't be sad. There's nothing I'd miss. Because everything I love that gives me that joy is in heaven waiting for me. That's where it came from. You know, it's hope. It's hope that when somebody's diagnosed with a disease and you're told they're not going to live very long, you know what? Yeah, that's hard. It's a storm in your life. But you know what? If they're God's, there's hope for everybody. You'll get to see them again. You know, in the past couple of years, I've lost family members, and I've lost some really, really close friends of mine. And it was hard. And it's okay. It's okay to have hard days, you know. God doesn't like for us to hurt, but when we hurt, he wants us to cling to him, you know. I don't want my baby to fall down and get hurt. I'm going to say, don't run, because it would break my heart if she gets hurt. When she gets hurt, and I know she's going to because she runs in high heel sandals, and she's a klutz, but like her mother. And when she gets hurt, and I see it coming, you know what? I run to her and put my arms around her. That's what God does to us when we're hurt. He puts his arm around us. And there's hope that, you know, the funerals I've sat through, and they've been really hard. I'm sad in that moment, but I know one day I get to see him again, you know. My hope is that this world's going to end, and I get to be with God. But like I said, I'm happy with the way things are right now. I'm not going to complain. If he wants to keep me here for another 60, 70 years, I'll be all right. But if he doesn't, I'm not going to be disappointed. You know, there's another storm in my life where, you know, I didn't feel the storm. I felt maybe the wind's blowing, but it wasn't so much a storm. Like from everybody else looking outside, it was a huge storm. But to me, knowing that my joy comes from God, that I had on that full armor of God, I didn't feel the storm. Sitting in a courtroom, I'm supposed to be in prison right now for life, federal prison for selling drugs. And the day before court, my attorney, the federal DA, and the judge, I think my probation officer, all got together and signed for me to do 3 years. I was to leave the courtroom that day and go to prison for 3 years. That's a storm for everybody looking in. That was a storm for my little girls, not knowing if their mom was going to go to prison or not. And I had to go home and tell them bye. I had to go tell them and tell our girls, I am so sorry that Mom did this. I felt shame and embarrassment for my kids, having to go to their friends at school and say, yeah, my mom's in prison for drugs. You know, I mean, I was sad for my kids. And when I went to court the next day, I had a peace because I had the joy because God had already spoke to me and told me I wasn't going to prison. And you know, when God speaks to you, and not everybody has that you know, I call it a pleasure. No one has that opportunity. I don't think everybody's still long enough to listen to him. I think if God can speak to Beth Pearson, he can speak to anybody. And I don't slow down very much, and I'm sure not quiet very much, but he found the chance to calm my soul, and he spoke to me and told me I wasn't going to prison. So I was standing on that. And when I went to court the next day, there was probably 40, 50 people sitting in there to support me, basically to support my family when they put the handcuffs on me and took me out in front of my kids. But I sat there very calm, very, very, very serene, because I knew I wasn't going. And I had that peace and that joy. I had that favor. I knew I was favored. And when they let me go, people saw the storm just die down. You know, and a lot of people changed the way that they pray, the way they think about God. And it wasn't because of anything Beth did. I don't want y'all to think at all I'm taking credit for any of this. I didn't do any of this. I'm not taking credit for it. It's what God has done in my life, what I've allowed him to do in my life. But there were people in that courtroom that have changed the way they pray because of faith that was demonstrated. And that faith is only because of the joy that I had. I have a court date coming up April 18th. They want to put me in prison for 25 years. You know what? I'm okay with it. I'm not scared. I have that joy. I have that faith. I have a relationship with God. I have that promise. You know, he spoke to me, and I'm going with that. And when people walk up to me and they say, man, we're praying for you, we're praying for you, I'm like, I hope it's prayers of thanksgiving, because I'm not going. You need to go ahead and thank him in advance. You know, I'm real big on asking God for something one time, and then I say thank you the rest of the time. Amen. If it happens, good. If not, it's his will, and there's something better. You know, when God tells you no, it's not always no. Sometimes it's, just wait, I got something better for you. Let me do this. I can see your future. You can't even see tomorrow. Let me take care of this, you know. So to me, part of the joy that I get is in prayer. You know, it's that relationship with God. If me and Andrea want to be best friends, I got to talk to her. You know, I have to associate with her. I have to listen to her as much as I talk to her. And God talks to us in different ways. He talks to us through other people, through the Bible, through songs, through sunrises. You know, there are many mornings when I have a situation and I need to make a decision on it. And I'm just like, okay, God, you know what? If I see a sunrise, then that means it's going to be okay. And you know what? There's always a sunrise. It's going to be okay every day. You know, there might be clouds, but you know what? I look for that ray of sunshine. And one little bitty ray in a huge dark cloud, I can find that one ray of sunshine. So you have to have a prayer life. And it's not hard to pray, you know. I pray. I wake up in the morning. Before I ever set up, I'm saying a prayer. You know, I want to be the kind of woman that when I open my eyes, the devil goes, oh, crud, she's awake. You know, I want the devil to panic when Beth opens her eyes because you know what? You're going to work a little harder to get this one. And my kids understand prayer, and that's because of the mom I am today. You know, the mom that has joy in her life. If you woke up tomorrow morning with only the things you thanked God for today, what would you have? You know, I would have my children. I would have the love of a Savior. I'd have a boyfriend. You know, I would have parents who support me and love me. I would have good health. You know, those are the things that I'm thankful for. Several times a day. Like I said, I wake up in the morning praying. I pray in the shower. Pray while I'm drying my hair, while I'm brushing my teeth. And on the way to school, I was blessed with the car, and it doesn't have a radio in it. I used to not think my car would start unless the radio was cranked up. I didn't know you could start the car without the radio being on. The radio never went off in my car. You know, my kids were told to be quiet. This is a good song. Be quiet. You know, I don't have a radio now. And I thank God had a reason for that because I spend a lot more time praying. And on the way to school every day, I have a prayer for my 15-year-old, you know, for God to protect her, to let her share a smile, to, you know, just give her a good day. God, put angels around her. Let her be smart. Let her stay awake. Let her pay attention. Let her not look at boys. Those are things I pray for. She thinks I'm crazy, but, you know, I was in high school. I know where your focus is. And the little one, she's always like, Mommy, you forgot me. I said, no, we're going to pray for you in a second. And we pray every day. And if we're talking or we're singing and I forget, when I turn on the street to the babysitter's house, Mom, we have to pray. Okay. Whatever we're doing, we stop and pray. And, you know, she knows that her mommy wants her protected. She knows her mommy wants her to have a good nap, to eat, and that she wants both her babysitters to have lots of joy and patience and love for those little kids, because I know how they are, especially mine. But, you know, my little one understands about prayer. I had a conversation on the phone, I think it was like 2 days ago, maybe it's yesterday, and a friend of mine called and she was struggling, and the baby's in the back seat. She just heard a little bit of the conversation, but when I hung up, she said, Mommy, you need to pray. I said, what did I do? She's like, pray for her. You know, she knew just enough to know that Mom was trying to help somebody and that we needed to pray. And I was like, wow, you know, that was one of those moments you're proud of being a mom. And that was joyful to me for her to know, we need to pray, Mom. My 15-year-old was watching Rylan's my baby. Brandy was watching her. Went to a meeting a couple of weeks ago. And I have a gas stove. Well, the baby, my little Houdini, Genius baby, likes to turn the knobs. So now they're child-proof, okay? And Brandy she was going to cook some eggs for Rylan. And she could not get the knob cover off. And she said she worked and worked and worked. She got mad. And Rylan came in there and said, what's wrong? She goes, I cannot get these knob covers off. You're not getting any eggs, Rylan. And she said, BB, stop. She said, pray. And Brandy was like, okay. And so she said, Rylan said, God, help this open. Jesus' name, amen. And Brandy said, you know what? It opened. Right. I touched it and it opened, you know. And I'm like, she gets this. At 2 years old, she gets it. God tells us to be like little children. You know why? Because little children, they still have that joy. You know, they know that they're protected. They know they have somewhere to live. They know they have food. They know mom's going to love them. We have all those things. God's like, y'all just need to let me do this. He talks about the lilies of the field. They're dressed. The birds. He loves us more than birds. The birds are taken care of. I'm not really into worms, but you know what? If that's what God wanted me to have, and I'd eat worms. You know, but little kids, nothing's taken that joy yet, you know. And Rylan, she knows to pray. And now Brandy's getting better. Brandy, you know, went through a phase to where she quit believing in God. When her mom was on drugs. When her mom would not come home for several weeks at a time, not answer her phone calls. And that's one of those I was talking about. Sometimes when we pray, the answer's just wait, you know. And Brandy had told my mom, she said, I don't believe in God anymore. I've asked him for 4 years now to get my mom off drugs, and he's not listening to her. And when I got pregnant, or when I had Rylan, both my girls were in the delivery room with me, and I got to see her be born, and that was a great form of birth control because now they're never having kids. And that night, we were sitting in the bed. I'm in the middle, and they're on each side of me, and I'm holding Rylan, and we're just in awe of this perfect little baby that was born to a drug addict mother. I was shooting dope every day, pregnant with her for 6 months. And you know what? God had favor, and she's perfect. You know? God doesn't remember our past. Tonight, God doesn't know you as an alcoholic. He knows you as his child that he gave his life for and he loves. Satan wants you to hold on to that. Satan wants you, no. Let me, you know, he's going to keep that mind running. Don't let him. You know, when Satan reminds you of your past, remind him of his future. You know? But we're laying there looking at Rylan, and just everything's perfect at that moment. And I looked at Brandy and I said, you believe in God now? And she said, yeah. I said, you know he answered your prayers about drugs. Well, yeah, you've been off drugs 3.5 months. And I said, no. But if he would have got Mommy off drugs when you asked him to, I wouldn't have had Rylan. I wouldn't have got pregnant at 36 years old, not on drugs. Okay? I'm not that crazy. But, you know, that's one of those waits. And he had something better for us. Because I can't imagine not having that little girl. And she's crazy about her sisters. You know, a lot of the things that bring us joy, like I said, you know, if you thank God, you know, if you woke up tomorrow with only the things you thanked him for, nothing, I mean, occasionally there's material things I thank him for. I thanked him for my car. I asked him once, and then I started thanking him. And Patricia had a big play in that. We prayed for that. We got that car with like, what, that week? Yeah. I spent 8 years either living in hotel rooms, in a drug rehab center, or at my mom's house. I was blessed with a 3-bedroom apartment that I don't pay rent for. I was kind of in the ghetto, but that's okay because I pray for angels to be around us every night, and we're still alive. It's all good. But, you know, that the first time I went to my mailbox and pulled out my gas bill, I was like, yes, oh my goodness, yes, thank you. And I started praying, God, thank you, thank you. Everybody's like, what's wrong? I said, I got my first bill. And they're like, well, you can have mine if it's that good of news. But you know what? I was thankful, and that was something materialistic, but I was thankful that God had allowed the means for that to happen. You know, be thankful in everything. So, yes, it's okay to thank for material things, but realize that, you know, your joy is an inside job. It comes from God. And like I said, and God will provide things for you. I asked a couple of my friends on Facebook, I asked them, what is joy to you? And I asked them, what brings you joy? And I just put down a couple of answers. Somebody said, my Lord and my family. One lady said, joy is a choice. It's choosing to find the pleasing, the precious, the laughter, the goodness in every day when darker elements would overtake us if we allowed them the opportunity. It is seeing God and knowing he is there even when we cannot see him. choose joy is the credo that I live by every day because it's a choice. Somebody said joy, an inner excitement about life and who I am in Jesus. Happiness is just like it sounds. It's based on ever-changing happenings. Joy is based on who Christ is, and he never changes. When we stay connected to him, we stay connected to joy. One said, joy for me is my hope in Christ and my family. Her little baby Asher means the state of joy. He embodies it too. He always has a smile on his face. He never meets a stranger, and he loves to make people smile. Asher's a little boy. Like I said, those little kids have that joy. They're just born with it. Somebody said, these priorities will give you joy. Jesus first, others second, yourself last. That gives us real joy from God. One said, I find joy in helping others, being the servant God meant me to be. One said, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, and my grandkids. And that wasn't her. And then a real sweet friend of mine whose husband has been in the hospital for the last couple of weeks. In fact, they didn't think he was going to make it about 4 days ago. And this morning she put on there, she said, right now I am ever joyful and thankful to God for letting me bring my precious husband home from the hospital today. You know, did you know Lloyd came home? Okay. But you know what? Not all these people that responded were what we call Christians, you know, but none of them listed anything materialistic. So I got some pretty good friends. But, you know, joy is not in your house, your car, a boat, a large bank account. It's an inside job. You know, I talk about I love to pray constantly. I also like to journal. And I journal every day, and that's something that I find very freeing, you know. And when I start the journal entry each night, I put down the date, how many days I have clean, and I put one thing that I affirm about myself that day. You know, I affirm I'm smart. I affirm I'm a good mother. I affirm I'm a good friend. I affirm, you know, just things that I affirm myself that day. And then I put down things I'm grateful for. You know, I'm grateful, I mean, just for friendship, for joy, for love, for my kids, for special events in life. And I like to go through and look at my past entries and just kind of see how far I've grown. And when I first started journaling, I was in rehab. And there was one day that I was thankful for my toenails. That was all I could be grateful for that day, was that I had toenails. I guess it was a really, really bad day, but I had toenails. But you know what? I found something to be thankful and grateful for. So, but in the front of that journal, what I've started doing the last couple of months, or not months, the last couple of books, is I save about 20 pages of each journal, and those are for prayers. When people ask me to pray for them, I put down their name, what they asked me to pray for. And I have a lot of people that just call me and say, can you pray for me? I'm like, I don't ever ask why. If they want to tell me why, they'll tell me why. But they just said, pray for me. And, you know, I don't have to know. God knows. So I just, okay, God, you know what they need, whatever your will is. And when those prayers are answered, I get to mark them off. Or, you know, I pray for it one time, and then I start thanking him for answering that prayer. But eventually, you know, after so many months, I mark it off. And I do that with Rylan so she can understand the concept of prayer. We have little hearts cut out. And when there's somebody that, you know, like the little friend that came up from the hospital, Lloyd, she calls him Grandpa Lloyd. And she wanted Lloyd to be prayed for, so she put his name on a heart, and we tape it up on her wall. She has 2 on her wall that say Daddy. Okay, she wants it. She prays for a daddy every night. So we have 2 daddies up there. I guess she needs 2 of them, but anyway, so we have 2 daddy hearts. We have hearts for people to get well. We have people that travel, you know, and we go in there and we pray in front of those hearts every night on her wall. And when they're answered, we put them in a little box, and she can go through and see, oh, God made this person well, or God did this, or God did that, you know. So that's kind of like my little heart wall is my journal. But that's another, you know, prayer is one of those sources of joy for me, and there's so many different avenues of prayer. Prayer is not just that solitude time, either in your car without the radio or on your hands and knees in your closet, sometimes a prayer is in a song. There have been, to me, prayers are in sunrises, they're in stars, they're in the moon. And there have been many, many times in my life where a prayer was tears streaming down my cheek. I didn't know what to say, but I could hit my knees and pray, and I knew God heard it. You know, I was talking with Kevin the other night, and we were talking about praying, and you know what? He said, God doesn't understand English. God understands the heart. We don't have to say anything. God already knows. And when he knows, and we have that reassurance that he knows, we get that joy. I just have to say this because it's really cool. Another one of those wait prayers for me was for the past several years. Well, since my two oldest ones were born, up until I started doing drugs, I prayed for their future spouse. Well, after I got off drugs and turned my life around and started praying again, you know what? I began to pray for their spouse again, and I threw my name in there. You know, I'm single. It doesn't hurt to pray. You know, man, God's answered my prayers pretty well. And I pray every night that, you know, that God bless the man he created just for my girls and I. I ask God to put a man in our life that loves him more than anything else. A man that will love us more than himself. A man that will be that Christian leader those girls need. You know, these are my little girls. And this is the man. It's going to be hard to get approval for them to date anybody. So I might as well put my criteria in there. You know, to be strong Christian leaders in that home and to be strong Christian fathers to my grandkids. And, you know, and there were situations in my life, and I was like, okay, God, this is the one. Let him marry me. Let him be the one. Please quit begging God. Please, God, I want to marry this guy. This guy would not give me the time of day, you know? And God was just going, just wait, Beth. You know, I think God gets, if he could pinch my head, he would pinch my head a lot. You know, or just thump it, you know. But it was just one of those, just wait, you know. And I waited, and I was very patient. I was pure until then, which was huge for me, because I had a suitcase full of a sexual addiction along with a drug addiction. But I remained faithful to God. I wanted to be holy for him and for whoever he put in my life. And he answered that prayer, and God has blessed me with a wonderful man who is all those things and beyond. So I just have to share that. Let's see. There's a girl that I go into Jordan's Crossing, or the rehab center I went to. I go in there every Thursday night, and hi, Ruru. But I go in every Thursday night and bring recovery in to these girls, because that's where I spent 10 months, was in drug rehab. And I met this really sweet girl there. She listened, you know, to me every week. Well, she lives in my apartment complex now. And she grew up as an atheist. And you know what? I don't know enough of the Bible to go up to somebody and go, okay, let me tell you about who God is and where we can find him in Scripture. I don't have that kind of knowledge. So I just prayed and said, God, use me however you can to reach her. And the other day, you know, she started kind of coming, like we were in class together also, and I noticed that she's been sitting at the computer desk next to me. And she's been, you know, just asked me questions. And I haven't preached to her at all. But, you know, she said the other day, she came in, she was stressed out. She couldn't find her driver's license, and she had to have it. She had been looking for 2 days, and was just, everything was hitting rock bottom, and she was freaking out. And I just asked her, knowing she didn't know who God was, I just said, well, have you prayed about it? She goes, I don't know how to pray. And I said, just like you talk to me, you know. I said, you just talk to God. And I said, but if you want, I'll pray with you. And she was kind of like, well, what's that going to do? I said, maybe nothing, but it might get your credit or your driver's license here. So I just took her hand, and we went to the corner of the room. I just said a really quick prayer for her. And she's like, okay, thanks. And she went to her car, and she said when she got there, in the back seat, right laying on the seat where she had been driving this car for 2 days, was her driver's license. And she came up to me, and she was like, I mean, she looked like she'd seen a ghost. And I'm like, are you okay? She was like, I have my driver's license. I said, cool. You know, I was inside, I was going, yes, excuse me. But I was like, okay, cool, you know. And she was like, how did you do that? I said, I didn't do it. God did it. You know, there is a God. And she told me the other day, she said, you know, she said, I'm starting to believe in this God person. And I said, well, what happened, Julia? She goes, man, I've been watching you. I said, me? I'm probably not the best person to watch to find this God thing in your life. But she said, you know, she said, you're always happy. You know, even when things go on around you, you're joyful. You don't let things get to you. You know, there's a girl in the class that it is her mission every day to try to get my goat, okay? And I don't let many people get my goat. But she, I mean, I seriously believe she wakes up and starts plotting ways to get under my skin, because she tries really hard. And it is, you know, I don't really talk to her because I'm not always the nicest person in the world, but I try. But, you know, I just don't want to go, bless your heart, honey, you know, because then I'll probably get hit if I said that. But everybody has watched this girl named Jennifer constantly attack me. And my other friend was like, you don't get mad. You don't let that stuff bother you. I said, she's not going to get my joy. I am not going to let her take my joy, you know. And she said, but I know there's something in you that other people don't have, because you put up with that. You don't retaliate. And she said, you know, the other day she had sat there and put nasty, she had wrote something on the board and took a picture of it and put it all over Facebook, and it was something about me. Okay, whatever. Well, number one, it didn't bother me because it was so not even true. And I'm not in kindergarten, you know, whatever. And so she had done that morning, and I just kind of, whatever. And when she went to lunch, and when she came back, she was hysterical. She was bawling. She was freaking out. And the first person she walked into that room to talk to was me. And I was like, oh, what did I do? You know, and she was like, I need help. She goes, they've called DHS. They're filing an investigation on me beating my kids. I need you to help me. I said, what do you mean to do? She goes, pray. And I said, okay. And I got up, and we went in there, and we prayed for several minutes. And I came back and started working on my paper. And the other kids in the class that had seen what happened that morning and see how she constantly tries to get at me were like, what just happened? You know? And my other friend was like, that's how I know you have God. So I can't sit here and pull scriptures out and tell anybody. But because of the joy and because of what God's done in my life, I have a tattoo that says beauty from ashes, because I was burned up. I was on the road going straight to hell, okay? And that's pretty intense burning right there. And you know what? God made beautiful. God made me beautiful from that. Beauty from ashes. And it's not just because of Beth. It's because of who God is and who I let him be in my life, you know? So it's the joy that no one could take from you. Joy is, you know, it comes in prayers. It comes in your attitude. There are things that can try to steal our joy, you know, besides just Satan, but just little things. And it's how you look at those little things. And I'm going to pick on Andrea for a second. You know, because you said it, you opened yourself up. Just the little bitty things you let get to you. You know, I like to ask myself this question. When I feel the need to panic, I'm like, okay, is this going to matter in 5 years? Okay, I spilled coffee all down my shirt. Is it going to matter in 5 years? You know, okay, is it going to matter in 5 minutes? And because I'm getting older and that memory's not as quite as I get used to, probably in 5 seconds it won't matter. I'll probably forget, where did this coffee come from? You know, joy is all around you, just like pain is all around you. But what do you look for? You know, when you look outside and you see those clouds everywhere and it's raining and thundering and it's hailing, do you look for that? Or do you look for that one ray of sunshine somewhere? Even if you have to make it up sometimes. You know, I'm like, oh, I think I see some sun. You know, you have to seek out what you want in life. And when you start to seek that out, it's around you. You know, there are people that negative Nellies, we can call them, one-uppers. And they usually group together. You know, everybody has that one-upper to where if you went to the dentist and had a filling, they went and had 4 root canals. If your dog got ran over, their dog got mauled by a lion in the front yard. You know, you just, I'm not trying to outdo you here. I just had something bad happen, but of course it's worse. And those kind of people tend to hang around other people like that. I avoid that. And I'm not saying I'm better than those kind of people. I just don't want my joy taken, you know. A huge thief of joy is guilt. You know, it's shame, it's embarrassment. And, you know, there's not anything that I have done that somebody in this world doesn't know about. I don't have any secrets. Not even many. I don't have any secrets. I have nothing to hide. And it feels good because no one can get even with me. I had a girl threaten one time. She's like, you know what? Your true colors are going to be known. Don't you ever walk in this church again. That will be it. I said, what are you going to tell them that they don't already know? I could not have said that a couple of years ago. I said, what are you going to tell them? They know about the premarital sex. They know about the drugs. They know about all this other stuff. What are you going to tell them? Something good? Oh, you know, hey, you know what? So Satan likes us to hold on to that guilt and that shame. Satan wants us to remember, man, I used to do a lot of drugs. I used to sleep with a lot of men. I used to drink. For 7 years, I drank. That's what Satan wants you to remember. You know what? God's already forgot about it. You have to let go of that. Like Andrew said, he took it to the cross already. He's not going to go again. You have to believe it. Let go of that guilt and that shame. Because that's Satan's his only tool to get you. He can't do anything nice in your life. So he wants to keep you down. Don't let him. You know, don't let him. Remind him of his future. The negative people in life, you know, you have to just keep being a positive example in their life. Just keep being the Christian that God made you, the joy that you have. Joy is also found in what you do. It's serving others. Like one of my friends said, it's in me serving others. You know, Rylan loves to go to Bible class, don't you? Yeah. She wakes every day. Can we go to Bible class today? No, it's Monday. I want to go to Bible class. She gets mad she can go to Bible class. We go about 4 times a week, and it's not enough for that girl. You know, I wish I could sit here and say I got that excited every week. There's a lot of times that alarm goes off, and I'm like, oh, where's the snooze button? You know, I'm not excited. She, you know, she has that passion. Somewhere along the way, we've lost it. You know, and I'm not going to sit up here and say, well, what happened to it? We know what happened. We mess up in life, and we get that guilt and that shame, and some of it slowly goes away. You know, and Satan has no use for joy. Joy serves no purpose in hell. So why he wants it, I don't know. He just wants us to be down there with him. He thinks it's going to be down there. You know, the media today tries to portray hell as the party place. All the rock stars are in hell. Well, they can have the rock stars. You know, I got Jesus. But he wants us to think it's fun down there. And that maybe your joy's down there. Joy's not down there. So the excitement, you know, the joy and the excitement, that's from God. And we need to keep that when we have it. Help others through physical help, through volunteering, you know, at the food bank. Just physical things to do for other people. But it's also sharing the gospel with them, you know. When we were commanded, Mark 6:15 says, go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creation. That's serving God. And, you know, I've never had somebody that started studying with me and were baptized. That is my ultimate goal in life. That's what I want to do, is have somebody, you know, give their life to Christ and say, thanks for planting that seed in me. I've probably planted seeds. I hope. That's my prayer, to plant seeds. And it's our job to plant them. God's going to water them. He's going to prune them. But it would just be really cool to me. And I'm going to do that one day. Because I'm already thanking God for it. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm going to do that. But that's going to be a huge source of joy when that happens. And that's something that you can't buy. It's something that's on the inside. So You know, you get joy, and when you have that joy in your life, it provides strength. It is a shield. David talks about joy a lot in Psalms, and he talks about his bones aching, and then he gets his strength from the joy, his strength and joy from the Lord, that he sings. He's making music to God. He is delightful. You know, he went from a guy that seriously was in a cave moaning in anguish from guilt and shame to being called a man after God's own heart, who had joy and delight and favor. Joy is being able to forgive other people. You let go of that resentment, that anger. There's so many people that I know in my life that have, looking from the outside, look on the inside, they have so much to be happy about. Number one, they're going to heaven. They're Christians. They're strong, but they're miserable people. You know, they're seeking out those negative things. They're holding on to resentments, to anger, to fear. You got to let that go. If there's any group of people that the first, characteristic of them is joy, it should be a Christian. We should not be miserable. We should be happy. We're going to heaven. Okay, whatever. My dog got ran over. I'm going to heaven. Okay, you know what? I flunked that test. I'm going to heaven. There's not a test in heaven. I'm in college right now. I'm ready for no midterms and finals in heaven. We have more to be joyful about than anybody, but yet we hear people say, oh, my kids are acting up, or my marriage is on the rocks, or my back, or my legs, or my bursitis, or my whatever. My grandma had everything in the world. But, they complain about their church. You know what? It's what do you seek every day? What's important in your life? It's important for me to wake up and be happy. When I die, I want people to say, man, she was joyful. I don't want them to go, she was miserable. She was never happy. I bet she's glad now she's dead. Well, I'll be glad I'm dead, but I don't want to be remembered as I want people to know when she knew she was God. She knew she was forgiven. That's why she was able to live happy and free. So you have to let go of that frustration, that fear, anxiety. I read an article recently, and it was titled, Being Unhappy Shortens Your Life. And it talked about how rampant pessimism is these days. People are more negative and worry about many things than they ever did in the past. We live in this world of technology where things are supposed to be so easy and so smooth, but yet we don't ever have family dinners. I remember when microwaves first came out, so that tells you how old I am. We got our first microwave, and it was going to make life so much easier. We were going to have dinner ready in 10 minutes, and we could sit down as a family and eat. I don't think we sat down one time for a family dinner after we got that microwave. All this technology to make life so much easier takes so much time away from us. Doing less is giving God more. And I'm bad about having the cell phone at the table, but you know what? There's a rule. If you're at the table eating with more than one person, put your cell phone down. Talk to that person. Find out, we used to play a game. I'm getting the no from my daughter. We used to play a game when Shelby was little, and it was the high-low game. We sit down. What was your high today? What made you happy today? And what made you sad today? That's how you start after we pray, that's how we start dinner. What was your high today? What was your low? Mommy and Daddy had to play too, But we have all these things to make our life easier. And I believe Satan can use technology against us, or God can use it for us. Like Darren said, Facebook, I try to minister to people on Facebook. I try to be positive to people. I've had people tell me I'm the only God they get. Okay? So I got to be real careful what I put on Facebook. But, Satan, like I said, he wants us to do anything but worship God. And if it means you focus on your technology instead of your family and him, then he's won that. But anyway, so we as a nation are, worried about what's going to happen to our future. And all stress is associated with poor health, a much shorter life expectancy. So on the contrast, the happier you are, the healthier and longer you're likely to live. There was a study by the National Academy of Science that showed adults who described themselves as happy had a 35% lower risk of dying than those who felt unhappy. In the same report, the happiness levels of 3,583 people that were from the ages of 52 to 69 were assessed and followed for 5 years. Many of those had chronic diseases such as diabetes, high blood pressure, poor health, and habits such as excessive alcohol use and cigarette smoking. But despite these illnesses, being happier was associated with longer life expectancy. The study is one of many linking happiness to health. There was a study that followed 5,000 university students for more than 40 years and found that that pessimism was associated with a higher death rate, and that a study of nuns who showed those with a positive outlook in life were happier and lived longer. Happier individuals are less likely to be stressed. They enjoy their work more, are often at their ideal weight, exercise and eat right, and have a high self-esteem, which are all predictors of longevity. Happy people are more likely to be loved, less likely to be lonely, more likely to have faith in God, and much more likely to seek medical advice to prevent and treat diseases. And with happiness comes smiles and laughter, two very powerful tonics that not only improve health as an individual, but also infectiously promote the health of those around him or her. A good belly laugh is associated with better metabolism, lowering blood pressure, and reducing stress and improving relationships. When you laugh, you release endorphins that elevate the mood, creating a natural high that relieves tension and relaxes muscle. Laughter also boosts the immune system, and those who smile are far less likely to develop minor infections over the years and have a lower risk of arthritis and cancer.
Amen.
So, laugh, have fun.
Amen. Have fun. Glory.
Yes, all the time. So now you know where joy comes from, who gives it, how you get it, and how you can share it with others. I urge you to seek the bright side. Thank God for what you have, not what very little you don't have. Thank Him in advance and know that no matter what this earth life brings, it's only temporary. We have a home in heaven waiting for us. And we can get a glimpse of the joy that waits us in heaven each day by loving God and who He created us to be. We need to be the people who reach forward eagerly, but also those who reach forward gratefully. We need to live for God fervently, but long for Him and His joy that is real and right now. And I'm going to end with this. Don't let your joy be dependent on things that can be taken away from you.
Amen.
God's not going anywhere. He's always going to be with you. So y'all be happy.
Amen. Yeah. Amen.